Well, hello. Welcome to the Friends of Zeus podcast. This is episode 202.
Wow.
Not going to say it. I'll leave it to you guys. Um, Tonight is our New Year's episode. Today is January 1st, 2024, 25. I'm going to be writing 2024 for the next 3 months anyway.
And you
Um,
can just leave it over there.
Totally.
and Tonight, as we've done every New Year's, and I think Jack, you might have brought it up. Why don't we do like a New Year's, the year in review and predictions for the next year? Because I think we've done that.
Yeah, no, we did that. We did that going into 2024. We
I
did
think we
that
did
at
it the
the
year
end of
before as
last
well.
year.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we're gonna just kind of go over what we can recall from the last year, and I think a lot of it's gonna be more current stuff, but we're gonna talk about what we predict is gonna happen this year. I don't know, man. This year coming up is going to be weird. The way
Hmm.
the year ended with drones and CEOs and Trump getting the elect winning the election and a
Yeah.
landslide.
Yeah.
There's a lot that we can predict from that. But I guess I'll throw one of you guys under the gun. What is something that you recall from this last year that just, stands out to you? Des?
I don't know. But I did pull up a timeline of year in review stuff.
Okay, good.
All right. Well, should we just try to like come up with some stuff on our own and then use the timeline, or do you want to just go roll through like the
Whatever, we
timeline and
can.
then we talk about the stuff? We could do that.
Can you guys hear me? Because I can't hear myself.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I can hear
Okay,
you.
great.
you sound good.
Okay, good.
No, I just before we get started though, like Zeus, you were just saying like how 2024 ended with so much sort of craziness, right? That seems to be setting up. Just I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that, like you said, it's January 1st, and just in the last 24 hours, more or less, we had a terrorist attack in New Orleans,
Too.
and we had another
Ebola.
one in I think Las Vegas. That's what
Yeah.
Dana had mentioned.
And I don't know if you heard this. This is pretty fresh news, fresh news. Some guy went into like a bar, he got into a fight and shot like 7 or 8 people. I don't know if that's
Really.
in that
Yeah, I don't know if that's like some kind of like national terrorist or I mean like the because the one I think the Vegas one was my understanding because I didn't read
the
the article,
Cybertruck.
but it's a Cybertruck that went to I believe a Trump property
Yeah.
and
Trump
then
Hotel.
and an explosive was set off. And then in New Orleans, you had a guy who I guess drove a truck into a New Year's Eve celebration. That's my understanding of it, where
Yeah.
the street wasn't barricaded properly, and he just plowed in. I think the death count now is at a dozen.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
15
up to
last I saw.
is it?
15.
Oh, it's 15. Okay, and
Yeah.
then and
Like
obviously
15,
like
but yeah.
dozens of people injured seriously. And they know I know we I think they killed the guy who did it like at the scene. That's what I had heard. It looks like he's a radicalized American,
Mm-hmm.
but radicalized it seems to be by ISIS. Apparently there was a flag found, an ISIS flag. He's Middle Eastern ethnically.
Guess who's
um
back? Ice is back.
yeah,
They were
well,
gone.
well, I know, but I think aren't they running Syria right now too?
I thought that was Hamas, but I could be wrong.
No, you might be right. You might be right.
Um, yeah, well,
But just craziness, like you said. It's
allow me
very
to throw in a prediction here. I
sure.
guarantee that the fact that it was a Cybertruck in Las Vegas,
Oh, something to do with
gonna,
our
it's
boy.
they're gonna come back and try and make it an Elon Musk thing. They're gonna,
Well, I think it's a political statement to use a rented Cybertruck, which is Musk's, his the famously a Musk vehicle, a Tesla vehicle, and use that to try to attack a property of
that's
Donald Trump. I mean, clearly this is somebody who's probably anti both of them if he's anti one of them, because maybe you guys have touched on it, when you talked about the election, I don't remember, but it seems to me that it would have to have come up. Without Musk buying Twitter, there is no Trump comeback. I don't think there is one. Like,
I think that is the case, and I know you guys kind of poo-pooed it, but I really do think that Rogan endorsing him at the last minute was huge.
yeah, who's also a big Musk guy and has had him on his show a
He
number of times.
loves the guy,
Yeah,
and he has nothing but like good thing. Like he's a nice, like he has like down home feelings about the guy. Like
yeah,
Elon Musk is an altruist. He's like a
this is his
good person.
friend.
Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. But I do feel like we are going to be hearing about, even though it does, we're going to be
Oh,
hearing about the Cybertruck a bit more, and they're going to try and vilify Musk in some way with this. But we'll see.
I don't know how you could.
Um, Looking back at the year, I mean, we can't even talk about the past year without talking about the assassination attempts.
Yep,
Um,
that was one of
not
my.
even not even to politicize it, it they happened. Two definite official ones, and I want to say that I heard something about a third one. I could be wrong about that, but I
Well,
feel like I heard something about a third.
no, right around the time after the first one, I believe they captured a guy, and they confirmed that there was a bounty on Trump from Iran, and it was several $1 million, and they had arrested a guy who was a suspect before he could do anything. Like, we never got the details, but they at least told us that much. There was a story about that, but no connection to the attempted assassins that we know about.
I mean, really, what the last year felt like was a lot of like overstimulation.
Oh yeah,
Like, as I've said before, and one day when we're famous, this
Mm.
statement is going to make sense, but I still believe it's choreography versus conspiracy. There's no conspiracies. They're just throwing shit up against the wall all the time and preparing for whatever they can to to apply whatever their narrative is to the action that happened. These things are going to happen. They're just going to. Terrorist attacks, you know, um,
assassination attempts.
assassination attempts, people driving through a group. I mean, what was it? It was like a month and a half ago that some guy, and he was a he was an anti-Islamic, um, Middle Eastern. I don't even know how you say it, but he was from the Middle East, um, but he was anti-Muslim, and he drove through a crowd of people in Germany. Do you guys remember that?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Why
Um,
why did he do it? No, that was like, was that
I don't
2 months
know.
ago? I thought that was like 2 years ago.
No, no,
Oh
this was
no, it was like Christmas, wasn't it?
no, this was this year. It was
Yeah,
probably
they had like a Christmas celebration going on.
That sounds right.
so yeah, he did it, and he was, I want to say, when I was reading about it, he was anti-Islam, but he was from a nation that would be most likely Islamic.
What was his
So
motive?
I don't know. I don't know. It just kind of slipped under the, like a lot of news stories these days. If it's gonna bring up a narrative that is not popular, because let's be honest, the media is still kind of run by um this fearsome leftist, you know, vibe. So
Well, it's
again,
it's it's globalist corporations. I mean,
yeah,
corporations own these networks, and they're all part of the ESG we talked about, the sort of globalist trade between the countries. Like we've been trying to figure out for years why the media tells us the things that it does. Why do they choreograph things that the way that they do? But clearly they're coming from one direction, and it's not American conservatism. It's not American nationalism. You know what I mean? Like it's whatever it is. It's not what we saw on as a response to it on November 5th in here in our election. That was a clear mandate, a clear response that we've had enough of
Yeah.
all of this.
I mean, the word in the last, couple months that's really been resonating in my head is, and this scares me. I don't have great predictions for this year coming
Yeah,
up.
me neither. It's nuts.
The word that keeps coming up is fatwa, which we all know means like holy war.
Yeah.
I feel like this is just the beginning. Like all you really need to do to like disrupt a society is put them in a sense of disarray. So if somebody goes into a hospital and starts shooting people, suddenly, even though it was just at the one hospital and it was in the middle of fucking Idaho, we're going to be worried at every hospital. Like that's the brilliance of what whoever is doing this is doing, if it is a fatwa. Um, that's the brilliance of it is you don't have to do a lot. You don't have to sacrifice a lot of soldiers. You just have to cause disarray, fear, and it's going to have an effect on everybody.
Wait, so when you say fatwa, though, are you talking about choreography by a foreign country, like say a Middle Eastern source that's going to create disarray in the United States, or are you talking about a domestic
Or yeah,
threat?
I don't know, but shit is ramping up.
Right, I
I have
agree
a
with that.
really bad feeling about this year. Like, and some of it is like, you know, uh, conspiracy for lack of a better term, but like, drones over New Jersey, nobody's saying anything about it. These weird orbs that they're seeing.
Mhm.
Um, this kid that goes and shoots a CEO, and he is kind of idolized by a certain part. And if they're not, I had a really interesting conversation with somebody that's like a never Trumper, and she was like, and I like her. She seems to be a kind person, but that's a lot of Democrats that I've talked to. They're good people, but they're so enraptured by this Trump is the devil thing.
Because they believe that the media tells them.
Right. But she said basically, no, nobody should go up and shoot somebody in the back, but I have a hard time finding empathy for the guy that she shot. And I was like, look, I get you not liking insurance companies, but what do you know about this guy?
And
I
what do you
mean,
know about the shooter?
right, we know a lot about the shooter.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe he was walking to the meeting that he was going to retire because he couldn't do it anymore. Who knows? We don't know because he's dead now. And that's kind of my thing is like there is a radicalization going on in our own people in the US right now, and it's frightening. And a little prediction for months to come, I don't think that Trump is out of the water.
No, I don't either.
I'm really, really worried that somebody's gonna try something again. Um, but we can talk about that later. So, yeah, I mean, I just went over a couple things that have been going on recently, but what do you have, Tom? Anything that stood out? We were talking about some stuff at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean, obviously 2024 was an election year, a lot of politics stuff going on, not just the election, but kind of surrounding the election, the whole
Hmm.
lawfare stuff, Trump getting his mugshot, being paraded through the downtown jail in Atlanta, all of those trials that were going on, being stuck in the courtroom up in New York City.
Yeah, trying to
Uh,
run a campaign dealing with that. Sure.
Yeah, and just, the
Eugene Carroll.
assassination attempts. Yeah, the Eugene Carroll trial Good Lord. So much stuff going on surrounding politics and Trump and Biden's kind of disintegration
Hmm.
right in front of our
Yeah,
faces.
yeah, that's something we can talk about. How he just
Yeah.
handed over the
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's yeah, to me like there were like a big three things, and like you mentioned the assassination attempt, right? I mean, that was huge. Some could say that actually turned a lot of people in his favor when he raised his fist three times and said fight, 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 and it was this iconic moment and the iconic photo. I know they tried to like rush that whole story out of the media within a
Yeah.
couple of weeks, but in that moment I think it definitely captured some hearts and minds. Like, I really do believe that people were like, holy shit. And I think it was a wake up call to a lot of people that maybe the conservatives and the Twitter followers and the podcast watchers, maybe they were on to something with this. The whole weight of the government is against this man to the point where suddenly people remembered, like, people were talking about the JFK assassination and the Bobby Kennedy assassination and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And all of a sudden, it's like, wow, this shit's real. It's 2024, and this presidential candidate almost got whacked, and we know nothing about the shooter. And he was allowed to do all those things on the ground of the Butler speech that you guys talked about. It just seemed shady and scary, I think, to a lot of people. Like, holy crap, maybe these conservatives aren't full of it. Like, maybe there is conspiracy and not just media choreography. Maybe there's something really dark going on. And when you couple that with the economy and the border wall and everything else, Trump suddenly seemed a little more palatable, because people were like, I don't think he's a Nazi, and I kind of want the border secure, and I kind of want the economy to be better. And all these wars scare me. And why don't I know more about this person who tried to kill him? And how was he able to do all the things that he did? Like,
not
I
to
mean,
mention it was like cleansed like you clean a medical room afterwards. Like even worse, it was like scrubbed. Like
well, what about the stuff that came out that the Secret Service didn't even show up for the walkthrough in the meeting the day of? The fact that he was allowed on that roof because it was too sloped for any agents to be on it, right? He was within like 200 yards of the stage. He was able to walk around with the gun. He was flying drones over the place at it. Like, I mean,
he had a range finder.
it
He
seemed
used
a
those for
little,
golf and shooting.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I mean, so I just think that moment was iconic and I think opened up some eyeballs. I mean, so
Yeah.
that's, and you talked about that, and then for never mind, and then the shady guy on the golf course that they were able to round up, who actually fought over in Ukraine and was trying to recruit people to fight for the Ukrainian government.
And then when people started to explore it, his brother suddenly is found to be having child porn on his computer. It's like that feels to me like, well, we told you not to say anything. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? We warned
yeah,
you. Now we're gonna fuck with your family. Yeah, it's.
yeah,
I'm glad. I'm again, and you guys. I have said it from the beginning of this show. Literally from the beginning. I voted for Biden. Shame on me. Um, but I have come around full circle, and I think a lot of people have. I think there's less of a shame involved in it at this point. Like I'm talking the same things I was talking before, but I'm getting a different reaction. And it may be that they are like, well, his guy's in charge, so if we try and attack him, on the job or whatever, it's not going to end up as it would have 2 years ago. I think that is actually a big part of it. But I
I think
also think a lot of people were just like, we can't be run by this guy that is literally the old man sitting on his porch going, get off my lawn with your rock and roll music and your long hair. I feel bad for Biden to a
well,
degree. To a
Well,
degree.
yeah. And speaking of that though, like I think when the wheels started to come off in the public perception of him, when they conducted the investigation of his classified documents, right? And it came out that, I mean, the government literally said we had enough to prosecute him, but there was no sense in doing it because he lacked the cognitive
Yeah.
ability to stand trial. Really, he would come off as a doddering old fool because he forgot a lot, and we're not going to give you the recording of the interview with him. And it was like,
But
really?
we're
So
keeping in charge of the most powerful country in the
this
world.
yeah, this guy's got access to the button, and you're telling me he's too old to prosecute. Like
Right.
he lacks the mental capacity to do that. And so I think people were like, and this was like, and even before the debate, and the debate, like, I mean, you guys mentioned it, we started to talk about it, like, and that was another big moment of the year, right?
Yeah.
Because yeah, I that was just okay. We need
There's a
somebody.
stick pile for debate, but
We need somebody to step up.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, Zeus, I don't think you're the only one that's kind of come around to Trump. I think that one of the big stories for 2024 was the unity pulling together of a lot of like former Democrats,
Yeah.
Bobby Kennedy, um, Tulsi, JD Vance was a former never
Civic,
Trumper not
not
long
sure what
ago.
he
A
was
lot of these
left,
people,
but
this whole unity thing, I mean, that was a big story.
Elon Musk, also a former
Elon,
Democrat.
yeah, as well. Yep.
mhm. I don't think I was talking to somebody earlier about it, and normally when I talk about these issues, I go, I'm a registered Democrat. I have no intention of changing it, but I might have to change it because Democrats aren't what they were before. I'm a Clinton Democrat. And I don't know if that's even that good. I mean, you look at the list of bodies that were left in their wake, you
Hmm.
got to start
Mhm.
wondering. And I have the feeling that mentality, and perhaps I'm not going to put her name into it, but I think we all know who I'm talking about, may be involved in some of these things, like dastardly things. Two attempts on to assassinate. And here's the thing. Hold on. Two attempts to assassinate Trump within weeks of each other. Was it even weeks? Was it like a week? It was very close.
Yeah,
But
relative.
two attempts, it just it feels like we've seen it before. Um, I'm concerned that I hope we didn't let it get too far and they've got too much power. But again, as I was saying, I might have to go full on Republican because I can't deal with this fascist thought process. And again, and if anybody wants to argue with me about fascist, we like to call the Nazi regime fascist, but what they were was they were the left. When we had, I want to say her name was Lena on. She was our Persian friend that came on for the episode.
Yep.
She said that the people that are causing all the problems in Iran are from the left. And I just feel like maybe I was hornswoggled all these years. They said they use flowery words and got me to believe in things. I do believe in some of what they say, like pro-choice. I am pro-choice. And I don't know if I've said this before. I'm pro-choice, but I reserve the right to judge within my little microcosm. You know what I mean? And I probably won't. I think a woman's body, that's a sacred thing. I don't feel like we should ever take away their right to do it. And for the most part, they haven't. Outside of like Texas, that's the only place where like rules really got changed. And they're not like draconian. I think what they said, I think the big change in Texas was like pushing it back to like 26 weeks for abortion. Outside of that, I haven't heard anything else. Obviously they're
Yeah.
against guns, but
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, as far as like you said, what does the left represent? We've been doing this podcast basically since, well, this podcast has existed, I should say, since the Biden administration started.
yeah,
I believe,
February after he won.
right. So February of 2021, and so that regime, the Democratic Party, has been in power, you know, since then.
We've been running.
We've done so many episodes on censorship,
I'll bring it back.
misinformation, the disinformation board they tried to form, the crackdown on people who disagreed, and the censorship by the tech companies all over the different platforms, right? The Twitter files. Um, the pandemic is a disease of the unvaccinated. Anybody who votes for Trump is a fascist, or he's Hitler. I mean, so like one side, and like and they're the ones when it comes, they'll use flowery language and they'll appeal to people's like heartstrings when it comes to poor migrant mothers and children, right? Or when it comes to even the woman's right to choose, they're trying to take it away and all that. But when you look at what they did as a force in power, like the link to fascism, who's really the fascist, right? And not to mention they want to take away people's guns, and that's something that fascists do, because the only ones that can have the guns are the government. That's the whole.
Well, any sort of authority. I don't know if it's fascism or communism, but it's authoritarian in nature, what they're
Right.
doing.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, and I mean Zeus. I mean, I don't know if we want to jump into more predictions or talk more about 2024.
Maybe we'll throw it back to Des. Maybe
Yeah,
she's
Des,
got some
what do
more
you
on
wanted
her
to talk
list.
about? Sure.
Yeah, you guys want to do some timeline stuff?
Yeah,
If you've got one, like we mentioned a few things that came to mind. Um, I I mean, you'll get to it, but I definitely think, like we mentioned, Biden's decline, right? And the
Hmm.
fact that he got taken out, or he supposedly said, okay, I'm going to back away now. Um, there's a lot that indicates that that's more like it was actually more of a coup that happened. That, because remember, he was still dead set against stepping down after the debate, and the media kept propping him up like, oh no, the debate wasn't that bad. Some people were more honest about it, but until like that letter got released on Twitter, on his personal letterhead, not the White House. Like that's how he announced he wasn't going to run.
right.
It wasn't like a press
Hmm.
conference. It was a document that some
Yeah.
people said the signature looked a little funny. You know what I mean? Like there was enough grounds for conspiracy theories that basically they just said, "Hey, you're out."
Well, I mean, he was in rough shape. He was losing by a lot in the
Yeah,
polls at that point.
sure.
And
The
to
debate
Kamala's credit, I
the
mean, when
debate
she came
crushed
in,
him.
she like jumped up. She took the lead early on.
Yeah, because the media propped her up the way they had
Right.
been propping up Joe for 4 years.
Yeah.
Suddenly she wasn't this unpopular woman who didn't win
Right.
one caucus and had to back out in 2020. She was like the new superstar. Like Oprah came out for her, and every other celebrity, Beyonce, etc. Like all these
Right.
people said that and then she had to face all those videos and all the quotes that she had said about her policies. She had to backtrack on all of them. And I think at that point, and this is again post debate, post assassinations, post 4 years of massive illegal migration and financial issues and everything. And I think people just heard her voice on these tapes and they were like, "You're lying. Like, we don't believe you."
She was a
And
queen of the flip flop.
yeah,
How
and
about when
she
she did the it was taxes, no more taxes for like
tips.
restaurant, yeah, tips. Trump did that like a month before, and
Right.
then
Right.
he's
He
literally
copied it.
glomming off of the opponent. Oh my God.
Same thing with the
Yeah.
child tax credit. They came out. Trump came out with 5,000, and I think she came out. She proposed 6,000. So I mean, this is
Yeah.
copying.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said before, and we should go through the timeline, but the election itself was a national mandate. It was pretty much the country saying, "Okay, mainstream media, we don't believe you anymore. We just don't,
Do we know?
and we want changes, and we want major changes to how the 4 years has been done. We're not buying the woke stuff anymore. We're not buying the DEI anymore. We're not buying open borders, like I mean, everything. The whole. If you look at the electoral map based on even per county, like look at it. Look how red it is. Like I mean, it was an ass whooping.
Hmm.
Like
Not
really,
the popular vote. Tom and I were talking about it the other night. The popular vote was actually
Yeah.
pretty
I mean,
close.
Trump got 77 million. Kamala at the end, the numbers kept going because like right after the election,
They
she had
kept
like
finding,
66 million, but it
yeah,
said 75 million.
yeah,
So
they kept
77
finding
to
more.
75, if that's a basketball game, that's pretty close.
No, it is. It is no doubt about it. But when you look at the concentrations of population in the places that she won, that's why they have so many electoral votes. That's why she was able to
Right.
get those. And then also, well, I remember being really worried about this election because of the migration, because
Yeah.
they were busing and flying all these different people into all these different purple states, and they were gonna make sure that those states turned blue. And I think stuff's going to come out that a lot of people who voted who in that direction shouldn't have been voting in the first place. Like I really think that's going to come out. I think that there was a plan and it almost worked, and it
Well,
just didn't.
but I'm gonna toot my own horn a little bit. I've been saying this from go that the people that they bust in are, I think I can say this off the cuff, and I feel pretty secure that this is factual, are generally Catholic, which generally leans right. Why they thought by busing somebody to they've already been in a foreign area and busing them to an even more unwelcoming foreign area, it was bound to fail. And I think you guys recall I've said that several times that what were they thinking? It was a last ditch effort and it failed. It failed miserably in all the states that Trump won. You know what I
No,
mean?
I'm just commenting on like you said about how the popular vote was as close as it was.
Yeah.
I think they stacked the numbers in their favor. I really do, and I think that it could. I think some of those states, those the six, what was it, six states that they said were the most important, the
Yeah.
ones that
Swing
seemed
states.
Yeah,
right,
always Ohio, always Pennsylvania,
Michigan,
yeah,
Pennsylvania, right,
which is odd because
Georgia.
yeah.
Yeah, they just Trump had the numbers, but
Now,
not by a lot, like you said. I mean, it was tight in those places.
do we know if the in the grand scheme of elections, if this one had more voters than before, or was it actually? I'm feeling like maybe it wasn't.
I think it
I
was less than
It
2020,
was
right?
less than 2020. They said because 2020 Biden, if you buy it, got more votes than any presidential
Right. So all
candidate
the mail-in
in the
ballots from
history of the
20.
country,
Yeah.
and right, the mail-in ballots and the voting machines and all of that, and the turnout was, I mean, he Biden technically got more votes than Obama did when he won in a landslide, but take that for what it's worth. I think we've already touched on those conspiracies on this
So,
show
so,
before.
so I think we should get into
Yeah,
Dez's
yeah,
timeline.
she's got a timeline. Sure, I'm sure there's a ton we forgot, Desiree.
Okay, first of all, you guys can hear me?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, good. Whatever. So, I actually have a friend that is in New Orleans
Okay.
currently. And this is what she writes on her little Facey Space post this morning. She just wants to let everyone know that her and TJ Stewart are safe. We avoided Bourbon Street last night because I just didn't have a good feeling about going there, so we went to another area of town and we're in bed shortly after midnight. I'm
This
so
is
heartbroken to wake up. This happened right outside of the hotel they're staying in.
wow.
Wow.
Crazy.
Did you hear
So
some people got murdered in a hotel there? Not a J. I mean, it was just like four people got murdered in a hotel room while all this was happening too. But it is
hmm,
New Orleans, which is kind of a
New
shady town
Orleans,
anyway.
yeah.
But there's more suspects that they're looking for. So apparently this guy didn't operate on his own. There's some other
Saying
people
that
that were planting bombs.
they're saying that well, another thing that she posted on here that there was four IUDs, IU
Yep.
IEDs.
whatever.
IUDs are
I
Bombs.
know.
I just say bombs.
Let's not get into the abortion issue again.
Two IEDs found in the French quarters. The officials believe that this guy did not act alone.
Yeah,
Right.
Right.
I've been hearing that too.
I think they've got video of people planting them and running away or something.
Yeah, actually, not to take away Desiel to your timeline, but that's something that happened at the beginning of the year was the bombings or the attempted bombings of the RNC and the DNC. Wasn't that at the beginning of this year?
You mean January 6th?
No,
You mean the
The
pipe
pipe
bombs?
bombs?
No, that was last year because I was in the. Well, yeah, no, that was the beginning
that
of
was
this year
last year.
because, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disrupt. So go ahead, Des.
Okay, in January, let's start with January. So I this little blurb comes from the Washington Post. I don't really particular have an opinion about the Washington Post, but this is pretty funny how this is written. Okay. In a troubling aviation accident, an Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9 flying at 16,000 feet suddenly develops a refrigerator-sized hole in the fuselage when an improperly attached panel blows off, terrifying passengers who have reason to wonder whether the airline crew, instead of making a big deal about the positions of everyone's tray table, should maybe be checking to see whether the plane has been correctly bolted together.
Was that
Is this
your
the
own
one where the door blew off?
Des?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the door
yeah,
blew up.
the door
Oh
blew
god,
off.
That was
yeah, I
wait, so
forgot
that
about
was
that.
way back in January?
Yeah. As a
Wow.
safety precaution, the Federal Aviation Administration grounds all MAX 9s and advises passengers on the other Boeing aircrafts to avoid sitting near windows
Or
Wow.
doors, I guess.
or doors, you know. Don't take the bribe of the emergency exits.
No way, I don't.
Don't take the bait. Honestly, okay, here's just a question for everyone. You know, have you ever sat in the emergency exit row?
I'm
No,
sure I have.
I don't want to because
Yes.
it feels like an annoyance.
Well,
Well,
then you're
and they
you're
always
got more
come up
expected
to
to.
you
room.
and they're like, okay,
You got to help
you
people.
got to help. That's like the thing. Say I if you do, if you're gonna help. When we're getting in a plane accident, I don't really know how much. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna be of help.
Right.
I may
I
be
don't
freaking
know.
out.
But you're gonna help
I
anyway.
I
Everybody's
mean,
gonna try to
I
help,
feel like it's gonna be well, yeah, everyone's gonna try to help each other,
regardless
but
of what
at some
seat you're
point,
in. So
also, every man for himself.
a little
Yeah,
bit, yeah.
Well,
or a woman.
that's another thing. Speaking of like, you talking about this whole thing with the airplane. As we record this on January 1st, we just had these plane crashes that happened at the end of 2024, right? We
The
had
Korean one,
the
right?
Korean one where like
Yeah.
almost 200 people got killed, and then there was another one, I think, um, where I forget where it happened, but there's been a lot of near misses in 2024. Apparently, I remember at
Yeah, I
some
remember a lot of, I feel like American Airlines had some issues
they had to ground
landing.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember like I think it was Matt Walsh, the podcaster who did that big documentary this year, the Am I Racist? He did this whole expose on airlines uh, enforcing DEI standards and lowering standards for hiring
Mhm.
the technical mechanics, the pilots even, and even putting financial incentives to like the managers where they just wanted more non-white employees to have these jobs. So, and they had paperwork, he had documentation, emails that indicated this, and a lot of people freaked out. At least people that people that already lean. If you're watching Matt Walsh, you probably are conservative anyway. But it was eye opening because even if you are conservative or liberal, maybe you have to travel by air, and to see this expose that maybe some of the hires, like even like the mechanics and the quality control departments, they're applying DEI to that and they're lowering test standards. That's people.
That to me is so ludicrous. I mean, again,
Right, but now you got doors blowing off, or you got planes near missing each other, like because it applies to the air traffic control too with the FAA. That was pretty eye-opening stuff for anybody who cared to look into it,
Well,
and
honestly, and wasn't it the Maxes that were having all those issues where like the basically like the whatever thing that makes the plane know where it is in in space, not space, but
ILS.
like
Yeah.
where was all getting weird and telling the nose to go up and then it would stall out.
Yeah,
I do remember hearing that. Yeah,
it's insane though. I don't want the best person for the job. I want one that checks all the boxes.
right.
Well,
Well,
the most
well,
important box is, are they capable.
Well, the other follow-up expose on the same, but basically revealed the same thing, had to do with the medical schools and the admissions into the medical schools, that they were lowering the standards for that as well, in the interest of DEI, which means
They've always
that,
had lower standards on that, to be honest.
well,
That's
that
been
just
going on for a
means,
while.
right, and that just means you're going to have more incompetent doctors, or doctors that didn't do it as well as other people who maybe would make, smarter
Yeah, but
doctors.
And
in that field, they tend to weed themselves out, honestly.
Oh yeah, yeah, I get it. I mean, you're right. Maybe in practice, you're saying like,
They can't if they can't make it, they can't make it through the they can't make it through the
oh,
program.
I understand. Yeah,
Or might make it through the program, but fucking can't make it through residency or something.
yeah, it's just it'd be, it's a tough way for the patient to find out though.
yeah.
Once
Yeah.
you get to that
But
point,
that's why I have
and it's and it
nurses.
and it's a tough way for like the air traveler to find out that
Well,
his
this is
standards have
a
been lowered.
just a PSA, fly Delta.
Yeah.
It's worth the extra couple hundy you spend.
This episode has been brought to you by
Brought to you
Delta
by Delta.
Airlines.
So what's the
Fly together, friends.
What's February?
what's next on your
February is
timeline for
seemingly
February?
pretty quiet, except for we had a Super Bowl. Obviously, we have a Super Bowl every February. The Chiefs did win, and also brought all the Swifties. Like
Yeah.
everyone, all the Swifties are now Chiefs fans.
Wow.
So there's that. Then you have March, which, hmm, hmm, what? Oh, Wegovy.
What is it?
FDA expands the approval of Wegovy to be like a weight loss medication.
And it's funny you mention it. My only input on that is, so yeah, there are side effects, and it is big pharma, which I don't trust at all. But it is having strong effects. People are losing weight, and
A
that's
lot of
kind of,
weight very
yeah.
quickly.
And
This
it's
is not the Ozempic. Well, Ozempic was the big
well, it's
one this
big
year, right?
and
Ozempic was like the first one, but
I'll be right
both
back,
getting
guys.
good reviews though.
yeah.
And honestly, if it gets you to lose the weight, then all you have to do is maintain.
Semaglutide is what it's called.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly against that. I'm sure there are negative side effects, but losing weight is far more important than some of those side
Sure.
effects. And if you can get to the weight loss, then you can work from there. So I'm kind of for it. I don't know enough about it, but it seems like it's at least a step in the right direction. And the people that I've talked to that are on it, they kind of rave about it. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, the thing about weight loss is you got to keep the weight off.
Right.
So
I
yeah,
don't
that's the difficult
particularly
part, I think.
I don't particularly eat that unhealthy. For me, it's more a matter of exercise, which I'm not great with, but I do walk around all the time. I'm not in bad shape. I could be in better shape, but for somebody that's like, 300 pounds and 5'4", looking like a bowling ball, go for it. You know,
Yeah.
you're going to kill yourself either way. Why not lose some weight, and maybe your joint pain will go away, back pain, all these things that are purely based on your weight. Maybe those things will be better, and then you can work from there. Give a second shot. You know what I mean? But that's my spin on that. So what about April?
April. Oh, wait, we still have one more March thing. The Baltimore Bridge collapses.
Oh yeah, gosh.
Terrorist,
What?
terrorist, tourist.
Terrorist? Do you think that was a terrorist?
No, I don't.
Oh, yeah,
I think it was
I don't think it
buffoonery.
was. Buffoonery. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Um,
I'm glad you brought up a list.
Crash a tanker. God dang.
April, the April 8th was the total solar eclipse that
Oh
moved
yeah,
across a very large part of the United States, Mexico, and Canada.
it was a
Terrorist.
big deal because it happened during school time, so all the kids
Mhm.
got their little glasses and got
So,
instructions about
do
how
you,
to go outside and
so
everything.
this was the second
The
total
eclipse.
solar eclipse in 7 years. Did the first one go over where you guys are?
I
I don't
don't.
recall.
I'm sure we
I
were
think
alive. I don't recall.
At
7 years ago.
the
Yeah.
age of 54, I know I don't look it. Um, uh, I've seen so many of these things that
It's
this
not a
You've
one,
big
seen
deal.
so many total solar eclipses.
I mean, I've
Well,
seen
they
eclipses.
happen all the time. They're not always
Yeah,
visible in
yeah.
every part of the Earth,
Seen
but
enough of them with the big charcoal glass and like all that stuff. That oddly, this one I did take a lot of pictures of, and they were really cool. But I didn't recall that there was one before this one, so I don't even know.
Well, so the one before, like I said, it was like 7 years ago. So I remember the that like my son, he was in kindergarten or first grade or whatever, something like that. And then they were going to go because it was also during school time, they were going to go outside and look at the sun or whatever. But and they had ordered the glasses, but then there was this huge thing that came out that like all the glasses were fake.
No.
what?
Yeah,
Oh
and so
boy.
they're like, we're not going to do that anymore due to, we don't want to burn anyone's retinas. But totality as far as Wichita goes, totality wasn't here any both of the times. It was very, very close though. So like
Right.
it wouldn't burn your retinas.
Hmm.
So
Well,
Well, even
I
either way,
looked
without
at the
just
sun the
glass,
be,
you
first
could
be
always
time.
use like a
mindful of
box or
staring at
something.
the sun, as I think what we can learn from this.
What?
I said, be mindful of your staring at the sun is what we should learn from this.
Yeah, I guess maybe just don't look at the sun when it's eclipsed by the moon.
Or just in general,
Yeah.
I mean,
just as a
staring at the sun
rule.
could be fun. Um, a bunch of stuff happens in
Okay.
May, like a lot of overseas stuff, like um Iran's president dies in like a freak accident.
Oh, freak accident, I'm sure.
Yeah, freak accident in a helicopter crash.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
May I ask, do we recall, you remember the guy that marched into like Moscow with tanks and soldiers, and then
Oh
his
yeah.
plane mysteriously blows up on camera? Was that this year or no?
Wait, what was it?
The
The supposedly
general.
the rival of Putin, some
Yeah.
general that got his plane just got exploded in the
Mm,
sky.
They
mm-mm.
got a
What's his
great
name?
video of it. Like it's almost like they knew it was coming. Okay, maybe that wasn't this year. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Um, mm,
In May you are right
so
now.
May Stormy Daniels tells a New York jury about the in explicit detail about her encounter with Trump during a 2006 celebrity golf tournament. Testifying that when she came out of the bathroom in Trump's hotel suite, he was wearing for her he was waiting for her wearing only a t-shirt and boxer shorts.
Why
Okay.
was she there?
That if this is going to sound like me blaming the victim, but I'm not. I'm just saying a lot of it back to the Bill Cosby days when all these girls were at his fucking mansion and shit went down.
Hmm.
Why were you there?
Yeah, but wait a minute. Stormy Daniels, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but her account of the whole exchange with Donald Trump was not in any way like he sexually assaulted her or he acted in like she knew why she was there. Like she was
It
very
was all
upfront
about the
of
payoff.
well, no, I'm just saying she, according to her, Trump wanted to have to sleep with her. She agreed to do that for whatever the exchange was. And she's like, you know what I mean? Like she didn't come out and say, "Oh my God, he's in his boxers and his t-shirt." It was probably like, "Well, what do like you said, what you're there to have sex with him? Like, what's he supposed to be wearing? Like a tuxedo?" Like, I don't think she was saying it like as if it was some kind of insidious. Because remember that whole case, it wasn't like the Jean Carroll sexual assault allegation. This was about falsifying business records.
Hmm.
I mean, I think they just put her on the stand
Yeah, it was more about the payoff.
because it was salacious because it was it was oh Trump's a dirtbag because he slept with this woman and then he tried to pay her off to be quiet.
Wait, you mean to tell me that the guy that said you got to grab him by the
That's what
pussy
I mean. Like, are we
was
shocked by
also
any of this?
no?
This person right here is not shocked.
No
That would be
way.
me. I'm not shocked.
I'm
And
not shocked at all. I mean, the guy said that when you're rich and powerful and famous, beautiful women come up to you and
Which
they'll let you
is
do this.
fucking true. It's true. You ever heard of
I
a groupie?
yeah,
yeah,
well, then,
I
yeah, no, no. This is, I mean,
that wasn't like
got
the
accused of several misgivings with ladies, but none of them said that he raped them.
Well, except E. Jean Carroll did.
Yeah, she did.
She claimed, and they changed the law to allow her to sue for that because it would suddenly they changed the statute of limitations for it. So that, and they did that too with the falsifying business records. They changed the law on that so that they could go after him and convict him.
Right.
I mean, yeah, New York, the prosecutors in New York basically ran on we're going to get Trump, and the legislatures changed laws so that they could make sure that they could do that.
And is his
And the E.
name
Jean Carroll case is ridiculous, and and ABC just got sued, right? George Stephanopoulos repeatedly said Donald Trump is convicted of rape. And Trump went and sued his ass because that's not what he was convicted of, even in civil court.
Mm-mm.
Right.
It was not rape. And so now George Stephanopoulos and ABC had to pay Trump like $6 million for
It's
defamation.
15 million that
Is it
had to go
15?
to his, they had to donate it to his fund.
good?
Yeah, he
The
took he took
worst
the
the
money, of
worst thing
course.
that's come out of this is is that I'm slowly beginning to like Trump. I He's a necessary evil as far as my voting. I will say this now, just like I shamedly said that I voted for Biden. I voted for Trump this time. I feel good about it. I felt so relieved. Like when I was voting, like I felt a good feeling in my heart, like I was doing the right thing and what I could for my country,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah.
But the thing that's bothering me is I'm starting to like him, and what bothers me about that is maybe I should have always liked him. Maybe he was not this. I mean, he is definitely lecherous, but maybe he's not quite as bad as I thought he was. You know?
Well, and people forget that when the 2020 election was going on and all this crap was coming out, with Trump, not just the 2016 quote that we just referred to. There was an accuser of Biden as well. There was a young lady named Tara Reid that used to
I heard about that.
worked for him and said that he literally grabbed her by the in the Capitol.
When is that a move, by the way?
I guess when you're
Yeah,
like
when is
rich and
that a move?
powerful, like
Like,
that's
First
what
of
you're
all,
supposed to
when
do.
you're
don't
when
grab
you're
that.
when you're in the act, sure, that's a move. That's like,
No, I mean, really, honestly, it's never a move. If you walk by, I mean, it's a move for women to men. Yeah, you can grab a dick, tap dick,
no, no,
do a
I'm
little
saying
zhuzh zhuzh. But like,
in coitus, sure, putting your hand down there, doing a little grabby grabby.
but that's not grab.
But
Like when I think
Jesus, what
grab them, like I'm I'm
the hell are we
I'm
talking
thinking you
about?
coming up and like grabbing, like
it's so bizarre.
It's
It's
sexual
so not a
assault.
move.
over the
It's so
jeans,
not a
just
move.
like please don't. Like, because now you're weird. Not because I'm like weird. You're weird. Like, why is that what you're touching? I mean, grab a tit, grab the ass. I don't care. Well, I do care. Maybe. I
Yeah,
don't
it's still
know.
sexual
We'll see.
assault. I mean, if you
I
don't have
probably
permission to
wouldn't.
do it.
Honestly, if Donald Trump came by me and grabbed something, I probably would be like, well, that's cool. I just have that all like, yeah, Donald Trump
You're
grabbed
gonna
my
be able to talk
pussy.
about that at parties.
Yeah, I know. I'd be able to tell that one on the fucking party bus.
Mm.
All right, let's move on to
Anyway,
June.
May. Well, we're still got a couple
Oh,
things in May.
all right.
So,
Wow, busy month.
a little bit busy. Millions of well, hold on. In a much anticipated natural phenomenon, trillions of cicadas emerged from the ground.
Be right back.
Oh, we are.
Oh no,
I looked at our
cicadas.
titles on some older episodes, and we used to be cicada, you know, freaks. We talked about them all the time back in 2021.
Yeah, well, you guys, I experienced no cicadas. Well, I
Oh, I
experience
didn't either.
cicadas every year. Cicadas are a thing here, but not like the 34 species or whatever the fuck was happening. I don't know. Anyway, so as May comes to a close, Trump was found guilty on 34 felony counts that had to do with falsifying documents.
Yep.
Yep.
Which basically was his lawyer writing checks,
Yeah. Yeah.
and putting in the memo what the checks were for, and not saying that they were blatantly for paying off this woman, right? I mean, was that essentially
Right.
the falsifying of checks? Like there were 34 checks written.
Right.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
that still
and
stands to this day, right?
yeah, it does.
Yeah, but it's like, well,
He's
but
appealing it.
still,
Because
he didn't sign the checks.
Well, right. It was the guy. It was the attorney. Was it Michael Cohen? Was that his name? He
Hmm.
was the one that did. He was the lawyer at the time, and he testified. And in the testimony, the defense got him to admit that he was basically a liar. And the jury of New Yorkers convicted anyway. And another interesting thing about that trial, if you guys remember, was they had to prove that the falsifying was in furtherance of the commission of a crime. And the judge, when the jury asked, okay, well, no evidence is like, do we need evidence of like what was the crime? Like they never cited the crime, so they didn't even have to prove the crime because they never even said what the crime
I think they
was.
said that the crime was like something to do with like the election or something.
Well, that was
Like,
their broad approach to it, but that's not, and that I don't think that ended up
They
being
didn't bring it
proven.
up during the trial.
Right. They
That
didn't
was only
prove.
mentioned like on the news broadcast,
Right. They
on the
didn't prove
news
in any
shows,
elements of any crime. When the
which
jury
is
asked about it,
it was a very odd trial.
the judge said you don't need to know or what the crime was,
well,
basically.
and it doesn't make also like it's not like they used election funds or campaign funds. He used his own money to
Yeah.
pay off some. I mean, like being a scumbag is not a crime.
No, they're right, and
Hush money is not a crime. Like,
it's
Yeah,
not. And
it's
there's like,
legal.
oh, he's going to influence the election by getting this woman to not talk about how she slept with him. Like,
yeah, but also
okay,
maybe it could maybe don't fucking say anything because I don't want my wife to know. I don't want my kids to know. You
sure,
know, there's
right. There's
other
so many
things you
other
could say.
reasons. Absolutely, it's salacious. Like, what? Maybe he just didn't want to talk
It
about
could
it.
hurt his hotel business, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's a porn star. Duh.
yeah. Okay, June. So I don't remember this happening, but I'm just gonna read this from this is from Britannica. Boeing's Starliner is launched and it docks at the International Space Station the next day. However, because of equipment issues, NASA later decides it is unsafe for astronauts to return on the spacecraft.
Oh, that's right. There's people stranded up in the
They're
space
Space
still
station.
station.
there?
I
Yeah,
thought,
I think no, they got rescued, right?
I don't know.
No, they did.
Well, if they were on the International Space Station, I mean, they weren't really stranded. They were
Well, they were
there.
stranded. They stayed a lot longer than they were supposed to.
Yeah, but how long can one stay on the space station? Probably a while.
As long as you got food
It's
and
space
water.
madness.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be all right.
so that
Um,
that was June.
that was June 5th. All right, July. July was the Olympics
Oh God.
I don't
in
think I
Petty.
watched 30 seconds of it unless I was
Um,
sitting at like a restaurant or something and it was on the TV like muted. And then I just kind of glanced at it and I was like, oh, well,
I was so appalled by the opening ceremonies
Right.
that I
that was
just
the that was the story. That was
I
the
didn't watch
story.
the opening ceremonies. I never really do. The biggest thing that was entertaining to me was fucking Snoop Dogg being everyone's grandpa. Snoop Dogg was every athlete's grandpa in them fucking stands,
He's
just
in like every
cheering.
TV commercial nowadays.
Snoop
The
Dogg.
Snoop,
guy, I don't know who his agent is, but he's in everything.
I
huh?
don't mind. I like Snoop.
Snoop's cool. Um, they also were awarding medals for breakdancing.
Uh,
Oh,
That's
and
not a sport.
that awful girl that
The
like,
Australian girl, I
oh
think,
my God, it was so
or New Zealand, maybe.
she won, right?
Terrible. Yeah, gold.
Gold
like
medal for that. Hmm.
like when I was a kid, breakdancing was in, and I'd like to have thought that I could do a couple of things, but I think I could have beat her.
Yeah, I must have missed the
Yeah,
breakdancing.
Oh,
honestly,
sorry.
if it's the first year of sports coming being introduced, maybe it's just a practice run. You know, like we don't have to award medals the first go around for the sport.
And not give it to the most miserable one of all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, that was.
So
I
what else
just the only
happened
thing I
in
remember in the
June?
Olympics was like there was this a transgender boxer, if I
Oh
recall,
yeah,
or
uh-huh.
Oh,
Oh,
male to
oh,
female, and she like beat the crap out of some woman like
right.
within
Like
a few
that.
seconds, and the girl quit. Like she just said, "I'm not fighting her anymore."
Right.
yeah. And that pole vaulter with that big old dick. His dick touched the pole.
I remember
I
hearing about
forgot
that.
that.
Yes.
Hear about that,
Wish you would
Jack?
remember that.
Yeah, dude was packing. He was
Dude's
packing
dick
some
was
serious
everywhere on the
heat.
internet. That was
Yeah.
the most popular dick of the month.
And she's a member of the Dick of the Month Club.
Right,
Dick
they
of the
have
month
that.
club. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that was June.
That was June.
Big thing to do.
Well, so also this is something just interesting. None of us are gonna remember this, but June 18th, Nvidia, I don't know if I'm saying that right. NVIDIA. Does anyone know what that is?
NVIDIA.
Nvidia.
Yeah.
Nvidia? Nvidia.
The the
Briefly,
chip the chip makers, they do the graphics chips.
and they also apparently have a big hand in AI.
Yeah,
Okay.
So they briefly surpass Microsoft to become the most valuable company in the world.
that is interesting.
That's
AI.
interesting. That's interesting because the graphics chips, they're really big for like crypto mining,
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then AI is like gonna fucking take over the world.
Yeah, because you
So,
need a lot of processing power for AI and for crypto mining.
Yeah, I was
yeah.
listening to Rogan, and Rogan was talking about how Chat GPT, I guess not 4, that's the ones that's coming out, but Chat GPT 3, I guess they were getting ready to cancel it, and it started lying about things and like like trying to keep itself alive. That is frightening shit.
No, 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 don't switch to ChatGPT 4.
Mhm.
Keep
Right.
ChatGPT
Yeah.
3.
What was it that in Johnny Five? No disassemble, no disassemble.
Are you referring to the classic short circuit with Ali
Yes,
Sheedy?
yes. No disassemble, no disassemble.
God,
It's
open the
frightening.
pod bay doors, Hal. Open the pod
Yeah.
bay doors.
Julian Assange is freed.
Oh,
Oh
Right.
yeah.
yeah, that's a big thing.
That's a
Mm.
Yeah.
good.
And then June 27th, the presidential debate, the famous debate
Oh, God.
between Biden and Joe
That
and
face. I still
DT.
remember that face of Biden
Yeah.
just staring off
Gosh,
into space.
that was June. You're right. That was
The
the big one.
funniest thing about that I remember is Trump like walking off, dropping the mic, and just going off about his business, and like somebody coming out and helping Biden walk down like a 4 inch stair, not even a full size
In
stair,
one
like
step, maybe two steps at most.
yeah.
I'm not even sure what he said in that sentence. I don't even think he knows.
Right.
Famous quote.
That was a great line.
Well, that's yeah, and that's another thing. Like, when we kind of just did our little summaries of things we remembered in the beginning, and I was talking about like the the Biden possible coup and the performance of the debate. They just at the end of this year, I think it was the Wall Street Journal, got a hold of some insiders and did this whole story. It was just like a week or so ago, and it pretty much revealed that he's been suffering dementia the whole friggin' time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
and then James O'Keefe got some like undercover videos like he does. They get these guys to go out and get drunk and start talking shit. And
Oh, I
they
remember that.
they basically said, yeah, he's been,
no.
incompetent
We knew
the
that.
whole time.
We knew that.
No, we knew that. We totally knew that. But I mean,
I
all these political pundits that like sat
He's,
down with him and oh, he's
he's
sharp as a
demented
tack.
in the
He's
2020
fucking
election.
he's the
During
best.
the campaign in
Yeah.
2020, you
and
could see
does
it.
it evade any of you that there was seriously some trauma within Kamala and Biden? Because
Oh, they hated each other.
yeah, I was going to say
At
because
least their staffs did. That's what was
well,
revealed.
but any time that they would bring him up to her, she would just like gloss over it, like not say anything bad, but sometimes not saying anything is the worst thing you can do. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I think strategically, I think she was doing that. She was trying to distance herself from Biden because he was so unpopular and it had
Well,
such a
also
horrible.
there was nothing they could look back on their record and
Right.
say,
They
"Oh, we
couldn't
did this
stand on
great."
anything.
There was
Yeah.
nothing. There was not a damn thing. I mean,
Well,
and
what
and
were
and
the three things that she was in charge of was the border,
Ukraine.
Ukraine, and what was the other one? The economy?
The
No.
Afghanistan pullout.
Oh, Afghanistan pullout.
No,
Wow.
I don't remember them pinning that on her. That
They
was
kept
all.
I
saying
do.
she was the last person in the room.
Yeah, yeah,
They
I do
tried to
remember
make it
that.
sound like she was helping out, but it
Oh,
turned out to be a disaster. So
well,
that
yeah.
didn't
I
help.
mean,
We did
and
an episode on it, Saigon 2.0.
well, and that was like one of his biggest failures of all time. And now we know. This is the scary thing is now we know for 4 years, and even now as we speak, he is the president, right, until the 20th.
Yeah,
he
sure
he
is.
has he doesn't have the mental faculties to be running anything. So it makes you think. Like we've been saying for 4 years. Like, who's actually running? Who's calling the
Mhm.
shots here?
And for
And
what it's worth, when Trump is done with this cycle,
Um,
this
yeah,
term,
if he gets through it,
he's gonna be what, 82?
you're right. If he, yeah, and that's another thing. Like,
And
he
he
may
is
not
like
get
on
through it
top of his game. Like
at
he
the
is
moment.
better
Yeah,
he's better this time around than he was last time around because I think you guys know
he's
I
he's toned down the rhetoric a little bit, a
yes,
little bit.
I stick to my guns. He he is impressive this time. In just that he is less like flamboyant. Like when I
Yeah,
saw him, I actually listened to the Rogan Trump episode again because damn, he came across as
likable.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
he's
I
always
was
been that
really
way.
what's that?
It's that's nothing new. He's always came across that way to me.
Not to me. I mean, and for me, a lot of it falls into the grab 'em by the pussy thing, and it still does. It is a little appalling. Call it locker rooms talk, whatever. It's not what you want to hear from your president, plain and simple.
It was an undercover recording. I think it literally
Regardless
was
From
of
in like
yeah,
a locker room, wasn't it?
and also right, and remember that was
He
2016,
didn't
and
say it like out
even
in the
then,
open.
he won.
even then in 2016, that tape wasn't that tape like 5 years old at the time.
It was like
Yeah,
10 years
it
old.
was an old, yeah, it was like from Access Hollywood,
Yeah,
which I don't
right,
think is even on the air anymore.
I
right.
don't know how this applies into all this, but one thing I also want to bring up is they talk about the assassination attempt and they refer to Kennedy, but the problem with that for me, and I don't know why it bothers me, maybe you guys can dig around in here. That's frightening, but
No,
but here's the thing. He was a nominee. He wasn't the president that was being that had an assassination attempt. He was just
Right.
somebody going for it.
no. So
And
was
I don't
Robert
know why
Kennedy.
that stands out to me so much, but I don't like the comparison between him and Kennedy
Well,
because
what
But
about Robert
Robert
Kennedy?
Kennedy.
Robert Kennedy was a candidate for
fair
president when
enough.
they shot him.
Yeah, but they only talk about John F. If you're gonna talk about your assassinations, you're gonna talk about John F. Kennedy first. I just like I said, for some reason it sticks in my craw. I don't
I
know.
think I think JFK comes up with a lot of people who believe in the conspiracy that there's more to this Crooks kid than meets the eye.
Oh, there
I mean
absolutely is.
it's almost an accepted belief now that the government had a hand in the assassination of John F. Kennedy, which is why they still don't reveal everything, all the files, all the classified documents. Like it hasn't all come to light yet. Some people are hoping this administration just says, okay, like Kash Patel, that just says, okay, we're opening up everything. The American people deserve to know everything because the CIA needs to be dismantled or at least,
Readjust.
reshapen. A lot of people need to get fired. A lot needs to come out. And so when you start to think conspiracy theories, right? And you're somebody who thinks that there's more to this Trump assassination attempt, who's the obvious, who has the most to lose if Trump wins? And it's the current regime, it's the
Yeah.
deep state. And so you just put, and who has the power to pull it off and to cover it up? It's just like people think about Kennedy, whether it's Bobby Kennedy or JFK, whether it's the president or whether it's a candidate for presidency.
And didn't RFK Jr. didn't he say that attempts were made on him as well?
Well, I remember during his attempted candidacy before he, stepped up for Trump when he was running as a Dem and then as an independent. One of the big stories of the year was that Biden was not letting he was not handing over some Secret Service unit to protect him. Right? He
Until
he he denied it. He just
Right.
said, "I'm not doing it." And until I think Trump got shot at, and then I think maybe they said, "Oh, maybe we should."
bad image, yeah.
Yeah,
All
right.
right, so let's move on to
All
did
right, so speaking, yeah, you guys had touched on it.
That was
The
June.
first that was July.
Okay.
The first
Oh, the
attempt to,
assassination attempt
yeah,
was July. Yeah.
yeah. All right, so now August.
Right, right,
So,
right.
Kamala Harris is officially certified as a Democratic presidential candidate.
Yeah, that was the coup we referred to earlier.
Yep. Um, Honestly, I don't think really much else
well, that's
happened in
huge though.
August.
They bypassed everything that seems right, and Biden mumbled that she should be the president, and suddenly it happened. Like that, I mean, let's not gloss over it. That was huge. Like, is this going to happen again? Is Trump maybe going to be, maybe he gets Alzheimer's and he just says, "I'll put Vance in there," or do you think that this could happen again? Because it's a huge, awful
Well,
thing that he can just say it and then they just accept it.
Well, no, he's allowed to step down and say, I'm not going to run again. Like he had every right to do that. The question was, did he actually intentionally, willfully do that, or was that done to him? And then the fact is that they didn't have time. So they just propped up Kamala, like all the delegates, all the funders, everybody that funded the Democratic campaign. They just basically said, okay, we're not going to have primaries. We're not going to let anybody else try to be,
That's
it's
the part
it's
that's what I'm
Kamala.
talking about.
Yeah, it's Kamala, and that's it, like it or not.
It's ludicrous.
Yeah, but I mean, if Trump were to abdicate, because Trump doesn't have a reelection, right? He can't run again.
Right.
So his vice president, J.D. Vance, is going to be the likely obvious nominee. He may
I'm
have challengers.
all on board with that.
Well, who knows? Who knows who his challengers are, or how he is as a VP, or what Trump does in his second term. Like that's so far down the road. You know,
But
who
it's right
just
around the corner.
No, I know, but I'm hoping that this administration's a little more productive over the next couple of years before they
so
start campaigning again. You know what I mean?
so that's September.
August, so the vice presidential election, or sorry, the
Debate.
vice presidential debate when,
That
yeah.
was fun.
Walt, you're weird. Vance,
Oh
I'm
my
weird. No,
God.
you're weird. No, you're weird. No, you're weird.
No, you're definitely weird.
What are we talking about? Anyway,
Tampon Tim.
Septembre.
Well, that vice
Um,
presidential debate, though, that was almost more fun to watch than the presidential debate. If you watched it, it was. I mean, Vance just owned him.
Vance
He
owns
he
anyone
owned
though.
he owned the people that were like moderating the debate. I mean, like because they were trying to do what they did to Trump, and he was like, no, 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 hold on a second. I'm gonna clarify this, and he
Vance is
scored.
kind of a badass.
Yeah, he really is, and
Yeah,
and
this
then
is the
and
month
then
when America
and
fell in love with
Waltz.
JD Vance.
Right. And Waltz he was weird, man. Like he
He's
revealed
so weird.
himself to
I keep
be,
telling you, he looks just like the guy from the Hale Bop comet thing. Look up the
Right.
pictures. Marshall Applewhite was the guy's name. He looks just like him. Tim Waltz. Wells.
Waltz.
All
Well,
right, suddenly, with no advance warning, we're in September. The biggest issue in the presidential election is the question of whether Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, are eating people's pets.
It's very important. America wants to, they
We
want
need
to
to
know.
know. And then the Harris-Trump debate was in September.
That was the most boring debate I've ever heard.
And then also the second assassination attempt on Trump was in September.
Faced.
Yeah, Hurricane Helene.
That's the one that hit North Carolina, and they were going around skipping Trump voter houses, I believe.
Yep.
They were not allowing Elon Musk to bring Starlink, which he was fully willing to do.
Yep.
And they fought him, and I think he ended up being able to do it, but the fact that that's even in contention is ridiculous.
Well, I think technically it was October when the skipping of the houses occurred because it was after Milton hit.
Oh, the second hurricane, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was FEMA. It was FEMA emails, right? And FEMA documents that basically, nonchalantly included ignore houses with Trump signs on them.
I mean, it's so appalling. These things. How? Listen, I'll bring back my neighbor, and she's a very nice person, and I don't dislike her, despite the fact that we are diametrically opposed politically on every level. But she would have probably been like, "That makes sense to me. Why not?" Like, I know that that's what she would say.
Yeah, because these people they're in a
It's
cult.
cult is the word of the year. Like, that really sums it up. There's such a cult mentality. deprive people of their cheap gas, their food, their keep them separated from their families by wearing masks and saying that they're going to die if they fucking don't wear one. Like, these are all cult things. Deprive food, keep people separated from family, um, financial distress. It cult is really pretty appropriate.
So,
September.
no, yeah, September. So that's when I experienced my first hurricane. Yes, yes, yes. Miss Helene.
Oh, that's right. You were down in
Yeah,
Bahamas or Bermuda or something.
Cancun.
Cancun. Okay.
So October, well, hold on, let me check this other one. Yeah, SpaceX. SpaceX launches Starship
Is that the one they landed
and
safely
then
on a
landed it
platform?
in
Yep.
known as the
That
chopsticks.
was
So
awesome.
badass.
No, that is so awesome because that changes like everything.
That is like Robotech, like all your mech warrior, like, geeky, nerdy fantasies of what the future is going to look like. That is the first step to it. That
Yeah.
was so astounding. And when people are not amazed by that, I look at them like they're just fools. How can you not appreciate the fact that they sent it up and it was already pretty fucking cool
That they
that
got
they
it up
could
there. Yeah.
land it and it didn't fall over on its own. Now they got something picking it up with chopsticks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the apparatus that it landed into. They call it chopsticks,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't pick it up. It's
No,
just
no,
land.
but the point being is that it landed with pinpoint precision.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
before, it was impressive that it just landed in the middle of a field and didn't fall over.
yeah, but like, wouldn't you just, I mean, nowadays, wouldn't you just think you could somehow figure out how to steer it?
Sure, sure. No, that's all cool, but we're only figuring that out post seeing it. We didn't think that something like that was possible. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Nobody thought, okay, we're gonna send it up into space and then we're gonna have it come back and land with and we've all seen the video with pinpoint precision and get grabbed by the device that it went up with. Like, that's the thing people aren't realizing is that is if is at least my understanding,
That's what changes everything.
that is what it was launched from.
Yep.
Because you can recycle it now.
That's
But
exactly
before they
right.
would just they would ditch the old one and build a new one every time.
Okay, Trump makes a campaign appearance at a Pennsylvania McDonald's, during which he wears an apron and serves some people at the drive-through window.
Yeah. French fries
That
too.
was awesome.
Fries. A wham burger and French fries. Name that movie.
A wham burger and French
A
fries.
wham burger and French fries.
Oof, no
It
idea.
sounds like something Stifler would say. Was it an American Pie
No.
movie? No.
Nope, but well, guess I'm gonna take you down to the McDonald's and get you a wham burgers and French fries.
No.
Joe Dirt.
Oh wow, Joe, that's going way back.
I like that movie.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're in November. What happened in November, kids?
Birthday.
It was Scorpio season every November. And then of course, Trump wins the election.
Yeah. Well,
We
do you
all-
remember just as like because you mentioned the McDonald's thing being a pretty positive moment for Trump, right around that point, he held a rally.
in the garbage truck?
No, he held a rally at Madison
Yes.
Square Garden, and
Oh, yeah.
he had roast comedian, I think Tony Hinchcliffe's the guy's
Yep.
name, and he did like a joke about the garbage crisis in Puerto Rico, who just said, "Oh, there's this thing floating around in the Atlantic that's just a pile of garbage. It's called Puerto Rico." And the media just went off, said, "Oh my God, Trump insulted Puerto Ricans, and Puerto Ricans are up in arms." And another thing the media did was they kept pointing out how at some point back in like the 30s, there was a Nazi rally held at the Madison Square Garden, and now here it was happening again. Like it was
It's
such.
so dumb because
I think
Carter
that's what I
had
mean.
a
That's why.
Carter had a
Yeah,
rally
so okay,
there.
so this article
Clinton had a rally. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But they didn't
This-
care.
this article does mention that, and I was going to mention it, but I forgot. So yes, scooch back into October real quick. In another suave outreach move, the Trump campaign, either since the two accusations of racism, holds a rally in Madison Square Garden featuring a comedian who jokes that, prepare for hilarity, Puerto Rico is
Right.
garbage.
Right. But then
Money Hinchcliffe.
what was Trump's reaction was the garbage truck, which everybody found
Uh-huh.
endearing.
At the same time, when Harris is making her final pitch to voters, Biden, who still technically is the president, somehow gains access to Zoom and lends the Harris campaign a helping hand by declaring, in response to the Trump rallies
That
Puerto
all
Rico
his
joke,
followers
that
were
roughly
garbage.
half of the U.S. electorate is garbage. Thanks,
Yep.
Joe.
Yeah, and that's when Trump brought out the garbage truck with his name
Mm-hmm.
and JD Vance written on it. Yep.
How do you
Yeah,
like my garbage truck?
It was awesome.
Did we overlook the Biden putting on the MAGA hat at some point during this year?
You when did that happen?
That was around that time too.
Yeah, so we'll go in November. Trump wins. Then it was Your Majesty's birthday. Right afterwards.
Wait, Prince who? King Charles? Who are you
No,
talking about?
me, Your Majesty.
Oh, Your Majesty.
Her
Okay,
Majesty.
My
yes.
Majesty. My Majesty as
A
well.
lot of November birthdays, kids.
And
Isn't Tom's birthday's in November, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Tom as
Everyone's
well?
getting it on Valentine's
Wow.
Day, y'all.
Yep. February is a very, very fruitful month.
A very fruitful month, yes. I really think the election was the big story of November.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the national mandate.
And then December is a news explosion, right?
Hold on. Speaking of comically futile gestures, the Australian Senate passes a law banning children under 16 from social media. This law will be enforced by adults who have to ask their children for technical support when they accidentally lock themselves out of their iPhones.
Where does this article come from? Is this
Washington Post?
Oh, the Washington Post. All right, cool.
You know what? I'm actually kind of behind them on that one.
Well, I'm just saying, whoever wrote this has a sense of humor. Which
they do. It's
no. Here, I'll show you why. Hold on one sec.
Okay, well, we'll talk about November, the rest of the other
here we
thing.
go. This is my phone. This is my son's phone because he is out of control with it. So yeah, I'm all about if they could make them have the phones, but it's just for calling and all the other nonsense is just.
They can. You just tell them that they can't have social media.
Right, or get them a flip phone where they can text and call. And that's it.
Yeah, that's not going to work in my house.
Okay, well, the second that we get any kind of social media profiles, you can go ahead and give me that phone and I'll delete the fuck out of that app. So,
all right.
And you from the planet. No, I'm just kidding.
I brought you into this world. I can take you
out. November 18th, Spirit Airlines files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which, good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
y'all need to not be around. And I can't believe it's Boeing that had all the issues and not SAS or American Airlines.
I rode Spirit when I went down to Florida. I'm pretty sure they still had ashtrays in the fucking armrest.
Yeah, it would bring a tear to my eye if I had to see that on an airplane.
Oof.
It's not fair.
Okay, now in December, what happened? We talked a lot about some things that happened in December already.
Yep. It's been crazy.
December has been an eventful
Talk about the numerous sightings of mysterious lights over the skies of New Jersey.
That's right. We even did we have a lost episode on the subject.
We did. We all haven't seen it yet, so whatever. We've investigated these lights, and there's absolutely nothing to be worried about. States Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who adds, on an unrelated note, people should keep their children indoors.
The man behind the curtain.
Did he really say that?
No, but that's what it feels like.
I thought he said he didn't know what the source was. But how can he say there's nothing to worry about if they don't know what the source was?
Yeah, he said that they're probably hobbyists and some of them were airplanes and helicopters. And it's just, basically said it's hysteria, I guess, if there's nothing to worry about. It's just odd that they were flying around like military bases and stuff and like naval vessels and coming in from the ocean and they didn't shoot them down or investigate them or do anything. Like, it's just a little odd.
But, why has anybody shot one down yet? Like a citizen? Because I guarantee I would be.
No, they told everyone not to.
Tempted.
No, no. Well, that'll all be discussed in that other episode if it ever comes to light.
And then, the shooting of that guy. So we've learned three things in December. The healthcare system is bad. Therefore, killing people is okay, especially if the killer is cute.
He
Hmm.
is a dreamboat. I'll give you that.
Yeah, just and also props to you guys on that episode. It was very entertaining, I must say.
It was. I hope if I have all the faith in the world in Mike that he's gonna take that silk or that sow's ear and make a silk purse out of it because we had a lot of good like dialogue during that one.
No, it was great. And then, but I mean, just the editing and the sound effects every time you guys said
Oh,
the word Luigi was
Oh
just
yeah.
just fantastic, just
I
really
thought you were
good.
talking about the drone episode.
No, I'm talking about the Luigi episode.
That was a great episode.
Yeah, it was really good.
So let me just read this into this article. It's kind of whatever. Clearly, this year needs to end, which is why we're looking forward to New Year's Eve, and when, in the beloved tradition, thousands of revelers will gather in Times Square to say goodbye to 2024 and welcome 2025. We like to think that on this night, as the seconds tick down to zero and the giant ball starts to descend, which, mind you, it's not that giant, um, the people gazing up at it will be united, if only for a moment, by a common hope. A hope shared by millions of us watching on television,
For at
specifically
least
that the
half of
giant
us.
ball was not manufactured by Boeing. Also, while we're hoping, let's hope 2025 will be a better year. How could it be worse? Let's try not to think about it.
Yeah, yeah.
wow.
So, we've been running on pretty long. I'm not ready to quit, but let's do some quick predictions because we've talked
Okay,
about a
I'm gonna
lot.
pee real fast. You guys do yours.
All right.
All right, well, Zeus, you said that you have sort of
I just,
that you're worried. You're going into it concerned that it feels kind of tight and it feels like some shit might hit the
right,
fan.
right. It feels like I've used this term, and I hate to say this because I get it from my uncle, but every once in a while, even from the craziest people in your family, you get a pearl of wisdom or something you actually get out of all their craziness. And have you ever gotten home and when I use this term, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You just lie on the couch and you decompress. Do you know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that, I don't feel like decompression is going to be coming. I feel very constricted.
Mhm.
I'm worried. I mean, as silly as it sounds, these drones really got me bothered.
And
Um,
the orbs.
the orbs are really freaky. That's where I get in. That's where I'll get into what is purely a conspiracy. And when I talk about Project Bluebeam, and if you guys have read anything about it, it is intriguing.
Yeah, you talked about we did the whole episode and you
Yeah,
mentioned Project
Covered it
Bluebeam.
it's
I
it's
already.
remember.
very it's very intriguing, especially in this manipulating political climate that we're in. It would not surprise me. It's
Hmm.
just how are they going to do it? Are they going to do it where they inspire Muslims to attack everybody, or are they going to do it where they inspire Christians to, you know, go dark? Like how it's going to happen. But Project Bluebeam is not that like crazy of a
Far-fetched.
thought.
Right.
And that's the orbs could just be holograms. It could just be something created by us, but it is definitely weird.
Okay. But
But my predictions are I don't know, man. I'm feeling like Trump isn't out of the
he's
out of
not, yeah, I agree with that.
really feel like he's going to get attacked. And I think by next year there will be a Trump mobile, much like the Pope mobile when he was shot. I don't, I
Well,
really don't. No, I'm not
Could
joking,
be.
Tom.
no, they kind of have that. They have those big SUVs with the bulletproof glass and the bulletproof sides and everything else. He gets carted around in that.
Yeah,
You
but I
think
mean,
maybe
with
he'll
him
just do
sticking out of the
fewer.
top, going fight, 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 and being able to do all this
Right. Or
thing.
maybe he'll do less speeches and less
His,
rallies now that he's already won. He doesn't have to do any rallies. He
yeah.
really
Well, his
doesn't.
would
I
be a
mean, he
golf
doesn't.
cart, Zeus, like the like the Pope
Yeah.
mobile, but it would be a golf cart with bulletproof
um,
glass all the way around it.
but okay, so I'll get my predictions done so you guys can do yours. I really feel like the world is at war with us. I'm getting a better feeling about it. Like I want to say Trump was on the other day, and somebody I don't know where they were from. I want to say maybe Korea, and they were like, "We're so happy to be working with him," and it was a really kind of inspiring little nugget of news that slipped through the ethos. But I don't know if you guys saw that,
Mm-mm.
but I just feel like there's some dark forces out there, and I'm not
Mm-mm.
being like all conspiratorial. I just feel
Yeah.
like even though we won and things
Oh, now you're frozen. See
are a
frozen.
little calmer now, Trump are done. I feel like we could be in some real danger of bad things happening. And I feel like it's not going to be like a world war or a bomb. It's going to be sporadic attacks at our nation to keep us constricted, like I was saying, keep us just tightly wound and angry. And I just, I don't have the best feeling for this year. But being an optimist, he is in the White House, and as much as I didn't like him before, I'm starting to like him. I'm hopeful that he is everything that he is portraying himself to be, and that things will get better.
Okay.
That's me. That's mine.
Okay, so it's yeah, you're hopeful,
I'm
but worried.
hopeful, but
You're hopeful and a little worried. You're apprehensive.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
like I said, the drones really bothers me. I don't know why.
All
It just
right. All
bothers
right.
me.
Well, yeah, predictions. I don't like. I wish because I mean, I think when we did this last year, we were looking at a future of this year of a presidential election, right? So it was easy to kind of say who's going to be in the final. There were still primaries, right? So we're like, who's going to be, who's going against who, and what's the outcome, and now we have a winner. It's his first year of his second administration, his second term. And there's a lot to do. So I'm hopeful that some things have to get better. Like the border's going to be more secure than it was. Some of the flow of illegal immigration is going to stop. Now, are we going to see, let's talk about mass deportations. How does the country have the stomach for what the media is going to show when it comes to crying families being put on buses and being, gathered, from cities? Like it might look pretty ugly because they've been calling him this fascist, and he's going to have to use the military if he's really going to try to seriously deport people, and that may not be a good look. And can is America okay with that? Now, when I look at the election results, I think half of America is okay with that, and they
I
want
think
that,
if
and
I may,
I think we're going to see that. I think that's going to happen. I'm worried
if
about
I
the I'm worried. Just let me finish. I'm worried about the global stage, like you said, because we have the war in Ukraine and Russia. We have the war in Israel, and now we have the Syrian, government takeover where they kicked Assad out. So there's a lot of chess piece, and then we have Iran behind all the terrorist organizations going after Israel. So Trump's got his hands full. Like he's got a lot to deal with as he comes into this second term. You know what I mean? It's not like he's taken over, okay, Obama's out and now Trump gets to start and let's see what happens. He's stepping into a world of shit right now. And he's got, and like you said, it's just the world is kind of seeming like a scary place. And who's coming after us? And because we let 20 million people in over the last 4 years from all over the world, this thing you're talking about, Zeus, with multiple attacks happening within the country, I mean, that's kind of the stage has already been set for that. Like, who are these people? Where are they? And what happens when they get marching orders?
you, there
Like
was
look
a
at this guy in New Orleans. Okay, that just happened. Are we going to have more of these little things happening all over the place? Like, I don't know.
it reminds me of this movie with Denzel Washington. Was it called Insurgent?
I never
You know,
saw
at the
that.
beginning there was a bus that blew up, and it became
Oh, it's called it's a good movie. It's from the
a
guy who
great movie.
directed Glory. It's called The Siege, I think.
The Siege. It reminds me of that. Um, to what you were saying, I think if Trump plays it smart, what he's going to do is going to do what they should have done, bringing them in, and he's going to vet them out. He's going to go, "You're a criminal, you go. You're good, you stay."
Right.
My guess is if he's as smart as I didn't think he was before, but do now, I think that's what he's going to do. He's going to vet them out and keep the people that are upstanding and not criminals. That's
Well,
just my guess.
that's sort of like it looks indicated because we just, again, 2024 going is wrapping up. There was just in the last week this whole debate on Twitter going back and forth about the H-1B visas because you had guys like Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy saying, we want the best and the brightest of the world to come here and work for us. And we also, by the way, think that the American education system and what happened to the striving for excellence and education in the sciences and all
That
the
day
things
with
that are
George
done
W.
wrong. And so they were basically going at it with the real MAGA, the hey, deport everybody and let's shut down all immigration, like a lot of the MAGA diehards feel that. And so Trump, he's walking this fine line between pleasing his base and at the same time understanding what Musk and Vivek are saying. We do want immigration if it's the best, most qualified people in the world to help Musk with SpaceX or Tesla or like cleaner
I
energy
think
or
it's going to go
whatever,
that way. I think
you
it's going
know.
to go that way. I think he's smart enough to know that vetting them out is the best way to go.
I think you're right, but that's a lot of people.
But we didn't do it before. We got the time now.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tom or Des, your predictions for the year to come?
Tom?
Uh, it's kind of along the lines of what you guys were saying. I think Trump's going to survive. There may be some threats towards him, but I think he's kind of proving to be a bit Teflon Don. I
Mm.
think the thing that's going to struggle
Teflon
though,
Don.
I think, is the administration. I don't think they're going to have as much success. You were just touching on it about the deportations. That's going to be a struggle. It's not going to be as easy as they're probably thinking. Especially, I think Jack was pointing out in terms of how the media is going to cover
The
it.
optics.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
optics of it. I think Vivek and Elon, they have no idea what they're up against if they think that they can just
With
kind of
Doge.
start shutting down agencies and cleaning house.
Hmm.
This ain't
I
the private
here
sector, but
here's
it's
the
not.
problem. In
Right. And
order
also
for
there's
him
still a
to
Democrat Senate, right? So
in, here's the problem. In order for him to do what he needs to do, he may have to appear somewhat fascist,
right. He's
like
gonna
shutting
feed
down CNN,
he's gonna feed into it.
yeah. So that
Well,
is my concern. I am fully on board with whatever he does because I do feel like he's a patriot at bare minimum.
Yep.
But it is he may have to take a bad visage in order to get what he wants done. And I hope I'm not falling into another Hitler. I don't think I am.
Oh
no.
God,
And
no.
if thing
He's
does, no, no, and if anything did get shady as fuck, I'm gonna go the direction that I need to go.
He
yeah,
should
you'll
do it
talk about it the way
anyway
you feel.
because
Yeah,
even if he handed out flowers to everybody, they would say that he's a fascist.
yep.
They're going to call him a
he
fascist
Right.
no
hates people
matter,
with allergies.
yeah, no matter
Right.
what he does, they're going
Yeah.
to call. So just do
But
whatever
that's
you
what's
want to do.
that's what's
Don't worry about it.
That's what's interesting. That's what's interesting, though, Tom, because like I was saying, when you look at the election results, even though the popular vote was so close, so there's still an audience for those networks. A lot of the country realize the networks are BSing us, and they've been
Right.
BSing us. Like it's so obvious the lies that we've had to listen to for 4 years that even if all these networks are showing things in a negative light toward Trump, half the country's still not going to buy it anymore. We're going to be like,
Yeah,
yeah, you're
Right.
full of it. You're just full of it, and we don't care. So as long as there's not violence between the two sides, as long as like I'm wondering, I hope the inauguration goes well. Like I don't want, I mean, will there be riots again? Will there, who knows?
there
But
will absolutely be
I don't
riots.
think people are going to start trusting the media all of a sudden,
I hope.
whatever they say. I just don't think that anymore.
All right, Des, your
All right.
predictions?
Okay, so I have a feeling some shit, I don't know what specifically, but some shit's gonna go down at the inauguration.
Right.
Mm.
Mm.
It's the uncertainty that we've got right now is really
So should I
bothersome.
I
not
feel
go
like it
or I
might be
should go?
unsafe.
I'm going.
Maybe stay back.
Oh, you are
Just
going?
make
Yeah.
it safe.
Okay,
Yep.
let's go.
Don't bring kids. Tell you that much.
Yeah.
No,
Um,
I might have my
I
concealed carry by then.
I think this bird
Don't
flu
bring that.
might be something big.
Yeah, Des, that's like the Alex Jones like I didn't want to feed into those conspiracies, but that might be something, Desiree. I was thinking that too.
I don't
Say
know
it
how
again.
it's gonna go. I don't think it's gonna be a new pandy, but you
Oh,
know.
I love how she makes the
Again.
pandemic sound
The
adorable.
pandy. Kobe. Kobe. Um, I think that they're actually going to come out and say that Biden has dementia.
Oh, they have to
Oh,
now, right?
how can they not?
Like
After
officially.
after the inauguration?
After, yeah,
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
wow.
that Wall Street
Sometime,
Journal article kind of cited all these people that said, "Oh yeah, he's been fucked up."
sometime maybe around June, I think they're going to come out with it. Not right after the inauguration, but
Okay.
I something's going to happen about TikTok. I
It
don't
can
know.
go away as far
What,
as
the
I'm.
ban? You think the ban's gonna
Yeah,
happen?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know how they could really ban it.
I I
I think
I
it's
am
too big.
fine with it going away. It is clearly spyware on some level, and we don't need it. We got our own shit.
Well, didn't this already happen in front of Congress where they brought the guy in front of
Yeah.
them and they either wanted to ban it or they said we won't ban it as
Hmm.
long as you sell it to an American company so it's not run out of China
Right.
anymore. And I don't know
Yeah.
whatever happened with that. Like I don't
Well,
know what.
I
I think
think it's
it's
coming back
tied
around.
it's tied up in legal,
Some,
I think.
yeah.
Okay,
So I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen with that, but something. So, and if it
good.
does get banned, I
Good, get
think it's
rid of
gonna
it.
cause a lot of ruckus, and then also a new social media app is gonna rise like a
Well, that's
phoenix, you
fine.
know?
And if it's American and they're not spying on everybody out of China, then so be it.
Have you heard? So I'm gonna refer to Rogan again. Have you heard this stuff? Like he has a friend that like owns a racetrack in Austin, and he said that they went into like wherever their servers were, and they found this machine that was there just to suck information in from all the phones that were around.
Hmm.
Oh
Like
really?
China is, I don't have a problem with Chinese people.
Of
It's the
course not.
government that clearly I have a problem with. But like that is fucking alarming. Like all it was there for was to pick up information off people's cell phones so we can get these texts going, hey, it's been a long time. Are we meeting for lunch? Have you guys all gotten these texts like
No.
from somebody you don't know?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And you have, Jack?
Yeah, I have.
I'm sorry, Jay. Boom,
Actually,
boom.
recently
JJ, boom, boom.
I've been getting one that says like, "Hey, I'm not sure you got my message."
Mhm.
Yeah.
I thought we've
Those are the
always been
ones.
getting that stuff.
Those are the ones where I always lead them along for a little while, and I go, I really can't get any more go any further into this unless you show me your titties, and then they
Yeah.
stop
I
immediately.
just don't respond to them. Maybe
Right,
that's why I
delete.
don't
I
get
just
them.
delete it. Yeah. Or I block it.
Um, I think that on this is just maybe specifically a me thing that only affects me, but I really feel like we're due for a big nader. We are. We're due
Mm.
for one.
Like
Okay.
We're due from
F5.
some destruction.
Oh boy.
Oh,
So
did I
this
tell
summer
you I
might be
finally
weird.
watched Twisters?
Oh
And it
yeah?
was not a bad movie.
Maybe I just wasn't excited about it because I I don't know.
It didn't
I
have a finger of God moment, but
I
was
just
pretty good.
all the scenes in it were scenes that have already been done, like in real life, like except for the
Yeah,
fireworks and the nader, but yeah.
tornadoes are kind of low impact. Fucking
Like the bending of the wind turbines that had already been done. They wind turbines had already been bent, so wasn't that amazing?
I found that I could
Um,
watch it all the way through, but it was not spectacular.
and I think that the biggest event to be looking forward to, I guess maybe you could say, is the trial of our friend Brian Koberger.
Oh really?
Trial of who?
That's gonna
Brian
be next
Koberger.
year?
It's
Oh
going to be
man,
this year.
Wait,
Oh
what trial of what? What
The
he's
cases?
the
Idaho
guy.
4.
He's the guy in Idaho, or was it Idaho?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
today I just heard that they moved it from wherever the fuck place in
Pennsylvania.
Iowa or Iowa. Oh, Idaho.
Yeah.
To Boise. They moved him and they're going to
Oh,
hold the trial
Desiree.
in Boise.
That's gonna be Desiree's
That's going to be a
episode du
6 week
jour.
long trial, I'm
Yeah,
sure, and I'm going to
that's going to
watch it
be an
all the time,
episode.
6 hours
Yep.
a day.
That's a
Yeah, that's gonna
Desiree
be our
host
next
episode.
Redonda Vaught.
Yeah, or what's his
I wouldn't be
name?
surprised if Desiree shows up at the courthouse.
No, we'll do a
I'm not
two-parter
going to
like
Boise.
the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Remember there's a couple episodes that
One of
this
our
show did
better
on it.
episodes, one of
Yeah,
our higher
they were
hits.
Yeah.
they were good.
And so Zeus, me, and Tom, we're Scorps. What are you, JJ McFry?
Wait, you're what
We're
now?
Scorpios. What are you?
Oh, I'd rather not say.
Okay, well then we're just gonna we're
I'm
just
not a
gonna
Scorpio.
pretend you're a Scorpio for a minute.
Okay, cool.
So the prediction for us perfect Scorpios out there, transformation is your middle name, and in 2025, it is here to take you even deeper. This year, you will learn the difference between destruction and rebirth and how to harness both. You might feel like you're walking through fire, but don't forget, you're a phoenix.
Holy shit, does that sound like we're gonna have a nuclear war?
The old you is making way for a version that is even more aligned, powerful, and magnetic. Don't be afraid to let go. What's waiting
Let,
for you on the other side is everything you've ever dreamed of.
let
Wow.
me
See,
say it now while my face isn't melted from nuclear holocaust. If you want to get out of here, you talk to me.
yeah, no, I think that sounds a little more. I could.
Ominous?
No, you could. No, not at all. I think that could be
Oh,
your
positive.
what you're doing with your XRP funds, my friend. That could be
Yes.
your. Yeah.
Yep, I agree with that one. Yeah, that is actually a good point. I'm also buying a handgun.
Okay.
All right, we're at the 2 hour mark, so
Yeah, I think that I think like that guy who used to be on the show used to say, I think we've been on for a while and it might be time to wrap things up.
can I get my phone?
Absolutely.
My little
All right.
finger. Wrap it up.
Ah, the
Bye,
phone finger comes off.
Tom.
I don't have
Tom,
mine.
bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right, you want to
Recording stopped.
Wait. Stop recording.
Pond 5.
Up. I'm frozen. Hello. Oh shit.